So, if you knew nothing about this lake,
Yeah.
obviously you do because you fish it loads of times. If you knew nothing about it,
Yeah.
well, what did you do when you first got to this lake? You know, just because you've obviously had so much success with it. So, what did you do basically to
First time I came here,
yeah.
I was fishing just across this swim. There was like a margin, and when my dad, I got most of the knowledge off my dad because he used to fish this when he was a bit younger. So his margins usually reduce and that. But firstly, there was no one at the lake when I turned up, so I had to just figure out my own way because lots of people are on cants. So yeah, so I decided to use boilie tactics with a bit of PVA bag with pellet because this friend called Murphy told me what kind of do. So I stepped the tactics and I got a few fish, and then when I came the next day, there was a few more people here because it's a weekend, so I've asked people what kind of swims work and what kind of bait and rigs, and they mostly just said fish the margins, don't use too much bait in the margins, and just put one rod, just cast around with a PVA bag. So that's what I did. But yeah, that's when the first time I turned the lake. Then before I turned up, I usually put the bait in because I don't really mind what I fish on, because I know this lake weren't as weedy because I've read the blog on the CAA website. So yeah, I just fished with leg clip, little rig, just fish a cell because cell is a good bait and not a lot of people were using it at that time. So yeah.
Right, that's interesting. So you've obviously done a lot of sessions with this lake. Has anything changed in your fishing since you started it to what you're doing now? Has anything changed?
Um,
Or do you stick to what you've
I
done?
stick what do I know, but I've done a lot of rig changes because and as also bait changes because when I came down here loads of times, I've usually just fished with a solid PVA bag with a like catapult boardies out. I never used to use the throwing stick, just scattering boardies about. But and now I do that, but because I do that now, past the time goes by, I'm fishing in different kind of swims because it usually gets packed during the summer months. I usually just fish pellets in the margins, good old bobbin red. It's been doing quite well on here, and a few chopped up boilies on the far rod. But I usually keep one in the margins because that's mostly where my bites come from. So I cast that to the middle. But mostly rigs changes because I'm trying to catch bigger fish now, as I'm trying to achieve today. Just using like different kind of rigs, just testing them out. So for example, one works really well catching a big fish, I'll stick to that. But yeah, so it's mostly it. Rigs changes mostly.
Well, that's interesting. So, when you're fishing your open water, which obviously I know you like to do as well as your margins, do you prefer to have a scattered boilie approach or nice and tight in a tight area?
Mostly, if I fish like, for example, I fish to the like a far margin because nothing's really happening next door. I usually fish it scattered. No, quite tight actually. I usually short down my rigs. So when it's like fishing quite hard, just group the bait together, fish a small rig over the top with a bit of punks and putty to pin it all down. And since that, when the fish picks it up, because I fish the boilie nice and close to the hook, not even an inch away from it, usually fish just sucks it up and it gets hooked straight away. But when open water, I like to scatter it around like a few boilies. So when the wind's pushing through the swim, you've got on each boilie. So for example, you've got a whole bed, just fish the boilie anywhere in the middle or the edge of the bait. That's usually pick out the bigger fish for me, really.
Right, so you've had 14, is it 14, 20 is that at this lake?
Yeah,
Right, so out of all them 20s,
yeah.
which one would you say was up there as the best capture?
Best one has to be a 22. That's the, I can't remember what session that was, but I was fishing the swim down the other end because my swim there was being used. I was fishing quite tight to the far margin, so I got into the gap, just putting some boardies out. I was getting runs and runs and runs. Then this one was a really slow pick up, and I thought this might be a decent fish, so I reeled it in about 10 minutes. I didn't really fight till it got really in close. Played around, but mostly been good 20s out for me. Just using the old boilie tactics, putting out chops and scattering the boilies around, really.
Well, let's hope we can get one of them today. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying my best because I've never fished that swim before, but where that margin is, I usually keep my rig there, so I put a lot of boilies out. So yeah.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, I always goes also, what else do I use? I don't usually use snowmans like Chris over here, but I just like using bottom baits because when we came down in rain, wasn't it?
Right, yeah, last Saturday.
Yeah, I used I try and use a pop-up, but the water was getting all murky, so when I put it on the bottom baits, you get more runs, so yeah.
Yeah.
Any more questions, or you're fine now?
Yeah, I'm right.
You're right. So yeah, if you want to know any more stuff about this lake, ask me or Chris, subscribe and write a comment, or join our Twitter or Facebook page, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. So yeah, we'll go through our baits, rigs in a bit. Cheers guys. While we've got the time, Chris not catching fish and me netting it for him, let's talk about baits. So we're using the craft catcher today because I think they're a good bait, plus they're quite cheap where we get it from. They're only $2.69 for half a kilo bags. So I've got with me crab meat and sea salt as usual. I've got another bag of that. Coconut GLM and the crab and blackcurrant. I've been having good success on them, and I've also forced Chris to use them as well. So
Yeah,
do you want to talk about why you like using them now, Chris?
Well, yeah, Jack didn't tell me to use them because he'd had a lot of success on this lake, so I listened to him because I saw how well he's done, and I went out and got a couple of different flavours to what Jack's using. Well, we've
Same
got one
flavours,
the same, but one's, I think we've got one different, haven't we?
No,
One
but the same
different?
ones.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I'm using the crab and blackcurrant, and that's what I've had my bites on. That's what I've been putting out mostly in the swim, and that's what I've got on my hook bait as well as my pop-up to make my snowman rig. I've been chopping down a pink pop-up to make the snowman. I didn't want a full bottom bait with a full pop-up because that'll just sit too much of the bottom, and it doesn't look. It'll catch fish, but it doesn't look as natural to the fish. So there's more chance of them spooking away from it rather than picking it up first. And also I've been putting out coconut and GLM just to give a bit of variation to the fish, so they don't get used to picking up one bait. They're always seeing something different, and there's less chance of getting spooked by the area. And I've also just been scattering a few pellets around because that'll keep. There's only
They melt down quicker.
yeah, they're very small, so they're keeping them in the area for a lot longer because they can hoover up a bed of boilies in minutes, whereas small pellets, going to keep them in the area a lot longer, which obviously gives me more chance of picking up a bite. And so far, it's worked. It's gone quiet for about 45 minutes, but we expect that in the middle of the day. Hopefully, as it sort of gets into
2, so it should be picking up soon.
hopefully as it gets into early evening, we'll get a few. I mean, Jack did an evening session down here last week
In your
on
swim.
these crafty catchers, and he caught like 12 fish in a few hours. So hopefully we can repeat that. Be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I like using their baits because I didn't, when I was down Tufnells I started using them because I didn't. Chris has now got a job and I ain't, so I've got less money. So I can't afford the big like mainline baits or dynamite bait. That's why I've just been using like kilo pellets, or fish are fizzing this out there. So then I walked into Marriages, and they usually sell Starmer baits, then I walked in the Sawcraft Catcher. So I picked up a syrup dip, and when I went with Chris, put the syrup dip on his pellets, still catching, weren't we?
You're absolutely smashing it, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely smashing it.
I was using the Boilie Tactics and open water with 2 rods fishing on it. So yeah, but I usually do these. I usually keep a bag, then in like a random plug or pop-up pot. I always have some like single boilies, so I can use them as hook baits instead of putting them out. So I know I can use these on the hair, then I can put all the rest of the bait out if I need to. So I always got like a pot of singles to use. Then in here, just got a bit of pellet as well, a few pop-ups and a few boilies. So yeah, also on the packet, got the packet. I can read it out to you. It says, lakes potent water soluble attractions, triggers aggressive feeding response, long-term nutrient balanced food source. Today's it does trigger feeding response because Chris has caught 3.
You can definitely tell that, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of fish coming out, so Chris has done well to catch 3 fish. I could have one and I lost one underneath a silly twig. It's my own mistake, so I thought it wasn't deep as that, but yeah. Says it says the slogan, get crafty, catch bigger, catch more. And it's done exactly what it's told.
Because I've matched my record on this particular lake, which is, for this lake it's only £17, but bear in mind there's not Jack's done well to get 14 20s out of here because there's not very many in here. And £17 quite big for this lake, so he's certainly picked out the bigger fish. So I suggest if even if you're not fishing CAA waters and you're fishing your local water, I'd suggest you get on it.
Yeah, I suggest it too, because you don't get a lot. You get 500 grams for 269, so that's half a kilo. But it's worth like cheap as well, because you can get in like random bait, can't you? Like you can get a bait cheap as that, but not as good as that.
But even when you buy 2 bags of this, even though you only get half a kilo per bag, if you buy 2 bags, you're still getting a kilo of bait for less than
£6, isn't it?
It's under £6, so it's well worth it. I mean, for what a day sessions day, I bought myself 5 bags, and it came to less than £14. And you can't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
So why not give it a go?
Yeah.
It's certainly done well for us.
Yeah. So yeah, get on it. Also, that crab and blackcurrant caught at 18 in a bad situation at Wick. So
right, we haven't got a lot of filming left. Sorry about that, guys. We're trying to get a live tape, but it didn't work. But we had a double run when we stopped doing it. My one ripped off. This one's lively. Sorry if it flaps. Chris, if you lift yours up. Mine's £19 on the nose. Caught on the blackcurrant and crab, so is Chris. Right, see if we can get them up.